The lights in the big meeting room were bright and cold. Commander Kang Dae-ho stood in front of a huge screen that showed stars and planets. His green skin looked darker under the white lights. His yellow eyes moved across the faces of the other aliens sitting around the long metal table. 3 more ships are gone, he said. His voice was deep and rough. The cargo ship Red Dawn disappeared 2 days ago. No emergency signal, no fight sounds, nothing. The room was quiet. Too quiet. Elder Nara made a soft ringing sound. She was made of blue crystal and stood 8 feet tall. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind chimes. "How many ships is that now?" she asked. 27 in the last 3 months, Kang Dae-ho answered. He pressed a button and the screen changed. It showed a map of space, with red dots marking where ships had vanished. All in the outer edge of our space, all carrying valuable cargo. Ambassador Lee Ji-won leaned forward in her chair. She was small compared to the others. Her people, the Kalari, looked almost like humans, but had silver skin and large black eyes. She had been quiet during most meetings lately, but something about this felt different. "What do the survivors say?" she asked. "There are no survivors," Kang Dae-ho said. "That is the problem. Pirates usually leave someone alive to tell others to stay away. These attacks are different. The ships just stop existing." A floating blob of purple gas spoke up. This was Zeph, one of the Nalari people. When they talked, their whole body glowed. "Maybe the ships had accidents," Zeph suggested. "Space is dangerous. Engines explode. Asteroids hit ships." 27 accidents. "In 3 months?" Kang Dae-ho's voice got louder. "All in the same area of space? All ships with expensive cargo?" He shook his big head. "This is not bad luck. Someone is hunting our ships." Elder Nara's crystal body made thinking sounds like tiny bells. "Have you found any pieces of the ships? Any clues?" "That is the strangest part," Kang Dae-ho said. He pressed another button. The screen showed readings full of numbers and lines. "Our sensors pick up strange energy signals after each attack. Energy that does not match any known weapons." Lee Ji-won studied the readings carefully. She had always been good with technology and patterns. Something about these numbers looked familiar, but she could not remember where she had seen them before. "The energy patterns," she said slowly. "They look almost like old stories." "Stories?" Kang Dae-ho turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" Lee Ji-won stood up and walked to the screen. She pointed at some of the numbers. "These energy levels are too high for any weapons we know about. But I have seen similar patterns in the old archives, in the myth files." "Myths are not real," Zeph said. Their purple gas swirled faster when they were upset. "We need real answers, not fairy tales." But Elder Nara was interested. Her crystal body leaned forward. "Which myths, Ambassador Lee?" "The ghost stories," Lee Ji-won said quietly. "The ones about the vanished people. The ones called humans." The room went very quiet. Even the soft humming of the air system seemed to stop. Some of the aliens looked confused. Others looked scared. Kang Dae-ho made a sound like a growl. "Those are just old stories to scare children. There are no humans. There never were." "Maybe," Lee Ji-won said. "But maybe we should check the old files anyway, just to be sure." Elder Nara stood up to her full height. "I agree. The archives are deep in the station. I will go look at the oldest files." "This is a waste of time," Kang Dae-ho said. But he did not try to stop them. 2 hours later, Lee Ji-won and Elder Nara stood in the deepest part of the space station. The archive room was old and dusty. Machines that had not been used for hundreds of years lined the walls. Elder Nara's crystal fingers moved over old control panels. "Here," she said, "files from the early days of the Council, before most of our people even knew about space travel." The old screen came to life. Green text appeared on a black background. Lee Ji-won read the words slowly. Report 2847A. Unknown. Energy signatures detected in Sector 12. Ships report seeing vessels of unknown design. Attempts to communicate failed. Witnesses describe ships that move faster than possible and weapons that turn matter into energy. Keep reading, Elder Nara said. Lee Ji-won scrolled down. Report 2851C. 3 trade ships disappeared near the edge of known space. Survivors from nearby station report seeing ships that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Energy readings. Match previous unknown signatures. They kept reading. File after file told similar stories. Ships that moved too fast, weapons too powerful. And always, the survivors used the same word to describe the attackers. Humans. Lee Ji-won whispered. Elder. Nara found another file. This one was even older. Listen to this, she said. Report 1203X. First contact with species calling themselves humans. Negotiations began but ended suddenly when humans withdrew to unknown region of space. Note: human technology appears to be several hundred years ahead of current council. Capabilities? Several hundred years ahead? Lee Ji-won looked at the date on the file. This report is over 1,000 years old. If their technology was that advanced then what would it be like now? Elder Nara finished. They found more files. Pictures of strange ships with smooth hulls and no visible weapons. Reports of humans who could breathe the same air as most council species, but were smaller and looked different from everyone else. And then suddenly all the reports stopped. Look at this, Elder Nara said. She had found a very old file. Final report on human contact. Species has withdrawn completely from known space. All attempts to locate their homeworld have failed. Recommend listing as extinct or mythical. Lee Ji-won felt cold. So they were real, but they disappeared. Or they chose to hide, Elder Nara said quietly. They spent another hour reading. The old files painted a picture of a people who were smaller than most aliens, but had technology that seemed like magic. The humans had been friendly at first, trading with some worlds and helping others solve problems. But then something happened. The files were not clear about what. All they knew was that one day, the humans were just gone. We should tell the council, Lee Ji-won said. Tell them what? Elder Nara asked. That bedtime stories might be real? Before Lee Ji-won could answer, both of their communication devices started beeping. The sound was urgent and loud. Emergency alert, Kong Daiho's voice came from the speakers. All council members returned to the meeting room immediately. We have a situation. They ran through the corridors of the space station. Other aliens were running too. Everyone looked scared. When they reached the meeting room, they found chaos. Alarms were ringing. The big screen showed a view of space near the station. What is happening? Lee Ji-won asked. Kang Daiho pointed at the screen. Our sensors just detected a massive energy surge at the edge of the system. Something big is coming. Something moving faster than anything we have ever seen. On the screen, space itself seemed to bend and twist. Energy levels that should have been impossible filled the air around them. And then, in the distance, they saw lights. Hundreds of lights moving toward them like a swarm of stars. How long? Until they reach us? Elder Nara asked. At their current speed, Kang Daiho said, checking his instruments. 6 hours. Lee Ji-won looked at the energy readings on the side of the screen. Her blood turned cold. The numbers were exactly like the ones in the old files, exactly like the ones from the myths. I do not think they are myths anymore, she whispered. Outside, in the darkness of space, something ancient was returning home. The mining world of Kepler 442b was not a pretty place. Red dust covered everything, and the air always tasted like metal. But it was rich in rare minerals that all the alien races needed for their technology. Park Min-ho had been working here. For 5 years, managing teams of miners from a dozen different species. He stood on the observation deck of Mining Station 7, looking out at the big machines that dug deep holes in the ground. The Sci-Tech workers were strong and could lift heavy rocks. The crystal people worked carefully with delicate tools. The gas beings could float into tight spaces where others could not go. Park Min-ho was proud of how well everyone worked together. It was not always easy. Different species had different needs and different ways of doing things, but they had found a way to make it work. "Boss," called Gina from the communications desk. She was young and new to the mining world, but she was good with the equipment. "We are getting some strange readings from the deep space sensors." Park Min-ho walked over to her station. Numbers and lines filled the screen in front of her. He was not a scientist, but he had learned to read the basic information over the years. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "Gravitational waves," Gina said. "Really big ones. Like something massive is moving through space toward us." Park Min-ho frowned. "Ships coming for a supply run." "No, sir. This is much bigger than any ship. And they are coming from outside our normal trade routes." Park Min-ho activated the station-wide communication system. His voice echoed through all the mining tunnels and work areas. "All teams, this is Park Min-ho. We might have visitors coming. Everyone stay calm and keep working, but be ready to head to the emergency shelters if needed." The response came back quickly from the team leaders. The aliens were curious but not worried. Ships came and went all the time. This was probably just a new trade convoy or maybe some council military ships. But as the hours passed, the readings got stranger. Whatever was coming was not just big, it was huge. And it was moving faster than anything they had ever seen. "Sir," Gina said, her voice tight with worry, "the objects will be here in 2 hours. And sir, there are a lot of them." "How many?" "At least 50 ships, maybe more. The sensors keep finding new ones." Park Min-ho felt his stomach drop. 50 ships was not a trade convoy. That was a fleet. A military fleet. He opened a channel to the Council Defense Station that protected the mining world. Commander Zeph's purple gas form appeared on the screen. "Commander, we have incoming ships. Lots of them." "We see them," Zeph replied. Their gas swirled nervously. "We are trying to contact them, but they are not responding to any of our signals." "Are they hostile?" "We do not know. They are not shooting at us, but they are not talking to us either." Park Min-ho looked out the window at the miners still working below. "Should we evacuate the planet?" "Not yet, but get everyone ready. If these ships mean trouble, we might not have much time." Park Min-ho spent the next hour preparing. All the miners were told to stay close to the shelters. The emergency supplies were checked. The escape ships were fueled and ready. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Park Min-ho was looking through the big telescope when it happened. One moment, the stars looked normal. The next moment, reality bent and twisted like water. Bright light filled the darkness, and then the ships appeared. They were beautiful. That was Park Min-ho's first thought. The ships were long and smooth, with no sharp edges or ugly weapon ports like most military vessels. They looked like they had been grown rather than built. Their hulls seemed to shine with their own light. "How many?" Park Min-ho asked. Gina was staring at her instruments in shock. 63 ships. No, wait. More are coming through. 70, 80. Sir, I count over 100 ships. The fleet spread out in perfect formation. The ships moved with a grace that Park Min-ho had never seen before. It was like watching a dance performed by giants. "They are scanning us," Gina reported, "but not with any technology I recognize." Park Min-ho activated his link to Commander Zeph. "Commander, what is your status?" "We are trying all communication frequencies," Zeph replied. Their gas was swirling. "Very fast now." "They are ignoring our calls. But they are not attacking either. They are just waiting." "Waiting for what?" Before Zeph could answer, Every screen in the mining station turned on by itself. The lights dimmed as some unknown force took control of their systems. Park Min-ho and Gina stepped back from the communications desk as it began working on its own. Then a voice spoke. It was clear and calm, speaking perfect galactic standard language. "This is Captain Kim Yuna of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We come seeking dialogue with the Galactic Council. Please respond." Park Min-ho and Gina looked at each other. The voice was not like any alien voice they knew. It was smooth and warm, without the mechanical sounds of translated speech. "Terran?" Gina whispered. "What is Terran?" The voice spoke again. "We are aware that our arrival may cause concern. We mean no harm to the people of this world. We ask only for a representative of the Council to speak with us." Commander Zeph's voice came over the intercom. "This is Commander Zeph of the Council Defense Force. Who are you? What do you want?" "We are humans," the voice replied simply. "We have been away for a long time. Now we wish to return." The word humans hit Park Min-ho like a cold wind. He had heard that word before, in old stories and myths, but those were just tales to entertain children. "Humans are myths," Commander Zeph said, speaking what everyone was thinking. "We were never myths," Captain Kim Yuna replied. "We simply chose to be forgotten. But times have changed. The galaxy faces new dangers, and we can no longer remain hidden." One of the ships in the fleet moved closer to the mining world. As it approached, Park Min-ho could see how truly massive it was. It was easily 10 times larger than the biggest council ships, but it moved like it weighed nothing at all. "We would like to send a small party to your station," Captain Kim Yuna said. "3 of our people, unarmed, for peaceful discussion." Commander Zeph was quiet for a long moment. Park Min-ho could almost hear them thinking. First contact with a new species was supposed to follow careful rules. But these ships were too powerful to simply turn away. "You may send your people, Commander," Zeph finally said, "but they will be scanned for weapons and escorted at all times." "We understand. Thank you." A small ship detached from the main fleet. It was tiny compared to the big vessels, but it still looked more advanced than anything the Council had built. It moved toward the defense station with the same impossible grace as the larger ships. Park Min-ho watched through his telescope as the small ship docked with the station. He could not see the beings inside, but he found himself holding his breath. After all the myths and legends, humans were real, and they were here. "Sir," Gina said quietly, "look at this." She had been studying the energy readings from the human ships. The numbers on her screen were beyond anything they had seen before. "What am I looking at?" Park Min-ho asked. "Power levels," Gina replied. "These ships, they have more energy than our entire planet uses in a year. Each ship, and there are over 100 of them." Park Min-ho felt a chill run down his spine. If the humans wanted to destroy this world, they could do it without even trying hard. "And the weapons?" he asked. "I cannot even detect their weapons," Gina said. "But based on these power readings, they could probably crack this planet in half if they wanted to." On the defense station, Commander Zeph was about to meet beings that had been myths for 1,000 years. And those beings had enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Park Min-ho hoped they really did come in peace. Down in the mines, the work had stopped. Aliens from dozen species stood in groups looking up at the sky. They could not see the ships from down there, but they all felt that something important was happening. The old stories were becoming real, and no one knew what that would mean for the galaxy. The emergency meeting room of the Galactic Council had never been so full. Every seat was taken, and more aliens stood along the walls. Representatives had rushed in from across known space when news of the humans spread. The air was thick with tension and the smell of fear. Ambassador Lee Ji-won sat in her usual chair, but nothing felt usual anymore. In front of her stood 3 beings that should not exist. The humans were smaller than most of the aliens in the room, but somehow they commanded everyone's attention. Captain Kim Yuna stood in the center. She was taller than the other two humans, with dark hair pulled back and calm brown eyes that seemed to see everything. To her left stood a man called Hwang Jisuk, who carried a small device that projected strange patterns of light. To her right was Song Hyeri, a woman with a gentle smile who had been introduced as their cultural expert. They looked almost like the Kalari people, Li Jiwan thought, but their skin was a warm, peachy color instead of silver, and their eyes were smaller. They wore simple dark blue uniforms that seemed to shimmer slightly in the room's lights. Commander Kang Dae-ho stood up from his chair. His green skin was darker than usual, which meant he was angry or scared. Maybe both. "You claim to be humans," he said in his deep voice. "But humans are myths, stories. How do we know you are not some new enemy trying to trick us?" Captain Kim. Yuna turned to face him. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "We understand your doubt, Commander. We have been gone from your space for over 1,000 years. In that time, we became legends, then myths, then forgotten stories." She paused and looked around the room. "But we never stopped watching." Hwang Jisok pressed a button on his device. The air above the table filled with pictures made of light. They showed star maps, but not like any Li Jiwan had seen before. These maps showed the whole galaxy, with thousands of worlds marked in different colors. "We have been observing the Council for centuries," Captain Kim said. "We know about your trade routes, your conflicts, your technological progress. We know about the pirate attacks that have been troubling your ships." Elder Nara's crystal body made a thinking sound. "If you have been watching us, why did you not help? Why did you let our people suffer?" Song Hyeri stepped forward. Her voice was softer than the captain's, but everyone could hear her clearly. "Because we were not sure you were ready for us," she said. "The last time we had contact with the Council, it did not end well. Some of your people feared our technology, others wanted to steal it. Wars nearly started. So you abandoned us," Kang Dae-ho said accusingly. "We withdrew," Captain Kim corrected. "There is a difference. We did not abandon the galaxy. We simply moved to places where you could not find us." "Where?" asked Zeph. The purple gas being had been very quiet, but now their curiosity was stronger than their fear. Hwang Jisuk pressed another button. The light display changed to show the outer edge of the galaxy where few ships ever traveled. Bright dots appeared, connected by glowing lines. "We built our new civilization in the dark between the stars," he said. "Worlds that orbit no sun. Space stations larger than moons. We learned to make our own light, our own gravity, our own everything." The room was silent as the aliens stared at the display. The network of human settlements was vast, stretching across regions of space that the Council thought were empty. "How many of you are there?" Li Jiwan asked quietly. "More than when we left," Song Hyeri replied with a small smile. "Much more." Captain Kim changed the subject. "We did not come here to discuss the past. We came because the galaxy faces new dangers. The pirate attacks on your ships are just the beginning." "What do you mean?" Commander Kang Dae-ho leaned forward. The light display changed again. This time it showed the edge of known space, far beyond where any Council ships traveled. Red markers appeared, moving slowly toward the galaxy's center. "There are others coming," Captain Kim said. "Beings from outside this galaxy. They are still far away, but they are coming. And when they arrive, they will not be interested in diplomacy." "How do you know this?" Elder Nara asked. "Because we have fought them before," Hwang Jisuk said grimly. "In other galaxies, in other times. They consume everything they find. Worlds, stars, entire civilizations." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Li Jiwan felt ice in her stomach. "When will they arrive?" she asked. Not for many years, Captain Kim replied. But the galaxy must be prepared, united, strong. And you think we cannot do this ourselves? Kang Daeho's voice was angry now. We think you have been trying for thousands of years and have not succeeded. Song Hyeri said gently. The council is still weak, still divided, still fighting over resources and territory while bigger threats approach. Captain Kim stepped closer to the table. We are not here to conquer you or rule over you. We are here to offer partnership. Our technology, our knowledge, our strength, shared with all who are willing to work together. And if we refuse? Kang Daeho asked. The three humans looked at each other. For a moment, Lee Ji-won saw something harder in their eyes. Then we will do what we must to protect this galaxy, Captain Kim said. With or without the council's blessing, the room erupted. Aliens started talking loudly in dozens of different languages. Some sounded angry, others scared, others excited. The translation systems could barely keep up. Elder Nara's crystal body rang like a bell cutting through the noise. Quiet! Let us hear what they propose. When the room was silent again, Song Hyeri spoke. We propose a new alliance, not replacing the council, but expanding it. Human technology will be shared freely. Human ships will protect trade routes. Human knowledge will help solve problems of hunger, disease, and war. In exchange for what? Lee Ji-won asked. Your cooperation, Captain Kim said simply. And your trust. Hwang Jaseok pressed his device again. The display showed human technology in action, ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months, weapons that could stop wars without killing anyone, medical devices that could heal injuries, thought to be permanent. This is what we offer, he said, not as masters to servants, but as partners to partners. The aliens stared at the wonders being shown to them, technology that was hundreds of years ahead of anything they had, medicine that could extend life and end suffering, weapons that could protect against any threat. But Kang Daeho was not impressed. You show us pretty pictures and expect us to trust you? How do we know this is real? How do we know you will not use these weapons against us? Captain Kim looked directly at him. Because if we wanted to destroy you, Commander, we would have done it already. The words hung in the air like ice. Everyone in the room knew it was. True, the human fleet outside could probably destroy the entire council in hours. You are threatening us, Kang Daeho said. No, Captain Kim replied. We are telling you the truth. We have the power to take whatever we want from this galaxy, but we choose to offer partnership instead. That choice is a gift. Do not waste it. Lee. Ji-won stood up slowly. All eyes turned to her. What happens if we say yes? She asked. Song Hyeri smiled. Then we begin building a better galaxy together. We share our knowledge. We protect your worlds. We prepare for the threats that are coming. And if we say no? Captain Kim's expression did not change. Then we protect the galaxy our way. And some of you will not like our methods. The room was quiet again. Lee Ji-won could hear her own heartbeat. We need time to discuss this, Elder, Nara said finally. Of course, Captain Kim agreed. But not too much time. The universe does not wait for committees to make decisions. The three humans bowed slightly to the council. It was a gesture of respect, but Lee Ji-won noticed they did. Not bow very deeply. We will return to our ship, Captain Kim said. Call us when you have decided. They walked out of the room with quiet confidence. As soon as they were gone, the chamber exploded into arguments. Some aliens wanted to accept the human offer immediately. Others wanted to reject it. A few wanted to try to capture the humans and steal their technology. Lee Ji-won sat quietly in her chair, thinking. She had read the old files. She knew what humans could do when they were peaceful. She wondered what they could do when they were not. The Rigel sector had always been a place of trouble. 3 star systems rich in rare metals, claimed by both the Council and the aggressive Hegemony Alliance. For months, tensions had been building as Hegemony ships pushed deeper into Council space. Admiral Yang Taijun stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Prometheus. Through the main window, he could see the rest of his small fleet, 12 human ships arranged in a loose formation. They looked tiny compared to the massive Hegemony forces approaching them. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Bay from the communications station, "the Hegemony is broadcasting a message." "Let me hear it," Yang Taijun said calmly. The harsh voice of a Kresh commander filled the bridge. The insect-like aliens spoke in clicks and buzzes that the translation system turned into words. "Human vessels, you are trespassing in Hegemony space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Yang Taijun smiled slightly. "Open a channel." "Channel open, sir." "This is Admiral Yang Taijun of the Terran Fleet. These systems belong to the Galactic Council. You are the ones trespassing." "The Council is weak," the Kresh commander replied. "We take what they cannot defend. Leave now or face the consequences." Yang Taijun looked at his tactical display. 3 full Hegemony fleets were converging on his position. Over 200 ships, including massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets. His 12 ships were outnumbered 20 to 1. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "should we call for reinforcements?" "No need," Yang Taijun replied. "Let them come." On the Council monitoring station, 3 light-years away, Huang Jiseok watched the displays with interest. He stood next to Ambassador Li Jiwon and several other Council representatives who had come to observe what everyone expected to be a massacre. "Your admiral is brave," Li Jiwon said quietly. "But he is going to die." "Perhaps," Huang Jiseok replied. "We shall see." The first Hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace in a thunder of displaced energy. 50 ships spread out in attack formation, their weapons already charging. They were ugly vessels, covered in spikes and armor plating, built for war and intimidation. "Human ships, this is your final warning," the Kresh commander transmitted. Admiral Yang Taijun's response was to order his ships into combat formation. The 12 human vessels moved with perfect coordination, like dancers following music only they could hear. The Hegemony attacked first. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles filled the space between the fleets. The attacks should have destroyed the human ships instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships simply were not there anymore. "What?" Li Jiwon gasped as she watched the display. "Where did they go?" The 12 human ships had vanished completely. The Hegemony weapons struck empty space. But before the aliens could react, the human ships reappeared, right in the middle of the Hegemony formation. What followed was not a battle. It was an exhibition. The human ships moved like nothing Li Jiwon had ever seen. They twisted through space as if the laws of physics did not apply to them. Their weapons were beams of pure white light that cut through Hegemony shields, like they were made of paper. "How are they doing that?" she asked Huang Jiseok. "Space is more flexible than most people realize," he replied calmly. "We simply learned how to bend it." A Hegemony dreadnought, the size of a small moon, fired every weapon it had at a single human ship. The human vessel disappeared just before the shots arrived, then reappeared directly above the dreadnought. A single beam of light struck down, and the massive alien ship simply came apart, its pieces drifting away like leaves in a wind. "They're shields," Li Jiwon whispered. "How did they cut through the shields so easily?" "We do not cut through them," Huang Jiseok explained. "We convince them that we are not there. Shields cannot stop what they cannot detect." The second Hegemony fleet arrived and immediately opened fire. 50 more ships, their weapons designed to destroy entire cities. The human ships moved to meet them, and the slaughter continued. Admiral Yang Taijun watched his tactical display with satisfaction. His ships were performing exactly as expected. The Prometheus phased through a hegemony cruiser, its passage leaving the alien ship in pieces. Around him, his other vessels danced between enemy fire, their return shots precise and devastating. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "the third hegemony fleet is approaching." "Let them come," Yang Taijin said again. But the third fleet commander had been watching the destruction of his allies. As his ships dropped out of hyperspace, he immediately opened communications. "Human fleet, we surrender. We request mercy." Yang Taijin considered this. "Withdraw your forces from all council systems. Return any stolen cargo or prisoners. Do this and you may leave with your lives." "Agreed. We will withdraw immediately." The surviving hegemony ships began retreating at maximum speed. In less than 2 hours, a force of over 200 vessels had been reduced to a few dozen survivors. The human fleet had not lost a single ship. On the monitoring station, the council representatives sat in stunned silence. Elder Nara's crystal body was completely still. Ambassador Li Jiwan stared at the tactical display, trying to understand what she had just witnessed. "How many hegemony ships were destroyed?" she asked. 173, Huang Jisuk replied matter-of-factly. "And how many human ships were damaged?" "None." The word hung in the air like a physical thing. None. 12 ships against 200, and the humans had taken no damage at all. "This changes everything," Elder Nara said finally. "Yes," Huang Jisuk agreed. "It does." On his flagship, Admiral Yang Taijin was receiving reports from his fleet. All ships operational, all weapons functioning normally, 0 casualties. It had been a good test of their capabilities against hegemony technology. "Admiral," Lieutenant Bay called out. "We are receiving a transmission from Captain Kim Yuna." "Put her through." Captain Kim's face appeared on the main screen. She was on the bridge of her own ship, still in the Sol system where the diplomatic talks were taking place. "Nice work, Admiral," she said. "How do you assess hegemony military capability?" "Primitive but numerous," Yang Taijun replied. "Their tactics are predictable and their weapons are inefficient. They rely on overwhelming force rather than precision." "And the Council forces?" "Similar technology level to the hegemony, but better coordination. Still far behind our capabilities." Captain Kim nodded. "The Council is debating our offer. I think this demonstration will help focus their thoughts." "What are your orders, Captain?" "Begin Phase 2. It is time to show the galaxy what we have." "Built in the darkness," Yang Taijun smiled. "Yes, Captain. It will be our pleasure." The transmission ended, and Yang Taijun turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to all Council and hegemony systems," he ordered. "Channel open, sir. This is Admiral Yang Taijun of the Terran Fleet," he broadcast to the galaxy. "Today, hegemony forces attacked human ships without provocation. They have been defeated. Let this be a lesson to all who would threaten the peace of this galaxy. Humanity has returned, and we will not tolerate aggression against innocent worlds." He paused, looking out at the debris field that had once been a hegemony fleet. "We offer partnership to those who seek peace, but to those who choose war, know this: we are very good at war. We have had 1,000 years to practice." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, billions of beings received the message. The myths were real, the legends had returned, and they had weapons that could destroy fleets without breaking stride. On the monitoring station, Ambassador Li Jiwan turned to Huang Jisuk. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," he replied, "your people decide whether they want us as friends or masters. Either way, the galaxy is about to change." In the distance, space began to bend and twist again. More ships were coming through hyperspace. Human ships, arriving from the dark places between the stars. Many. More ships. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Rigel, and the galaxy looked very different. Director Nam Jong-ho stood in the new command center of the Galactic Coordination Bureau, watching displays that showed activity across thousands of star systems. Where once there had been chaos and conflict, now there was order and progress. The old council chamber had been expanded into a massive space that could hold representatives from over 200 worlds. Today was special, the formal ceremony to announce humanity's greatest secret. Aliens from across the galaxy had come to witness this moment. Ambassador Lee Ji-won sat in the front row, wearing the new blue and silver uniform of the integrated galactic government. Beside her sat Elder Nara, whose crystal body had grown brighter over the months as trade flourished and conflicts ended. Even former Commander Kang Dae-ho was there, though he wore the simple clothes of a civilian now. Not everyone had accepted the new order easily. Kang Dae-ho had led a resistance movement for 2 months, believing that aliens should govern themselves without human guidance. But when human technology eliminated hunger on his homeworld and cured diseases that had plagued his people for generations, even he had to admit that perhaps cooperation was better than pride. "Friends," Director Nam began, his voice carried by translation systems to every being in the chamber. 6 months ago, humanity returned to the galaxy after 1,000 years of isolation. Today, we share with you our greatest achievement. The lights dimmed, and the space above the assembly filled with a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. But this was not like any map the aliens had seen before. This one showed the true scope of human civilization. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the display revealed the reality. Thousands of lights appeared in the dark spaces between star systems, space stations the size of moons, artificial worlds built around dead stars, structures so vast they bent space itself. "For 1,000 years we have been building," Director Nam continued, "not on worlds that orbit natural stars, but in the empty spaces where no one thought to look. We learned to create our own suns, our own gravity, our own everything we needed to survive and grow." Dr. Yoon So-hee stepped forward to explain the science. Over the past months, she had become famous across the galaxy for her work healing wounded worlds and restoring damaged ecosystems. "We built Dyson spheres around dying stars, capturing every bit of their energy," she said. "We constructed Ring, worlds with living space greater than 1,000 planets. We created mobile habitats that could travel between galaxies if needed." The display zoomed in to show details that made the alien observers dizzy with wonder. Cities that floated in empty space, held together by artificial gravity. Forests that grew in transparent domes, creating oxygen for millions of people. Factories that could build entire fleets of ships in days rather than years. "How many humans are there?" asked a delegate from the Outer Rim territories. "More than when we left," Director Nam replied with a slight smile. "Much more." The number appeared on the display, and the alien delegates fell silent. Humanity's population had grown beyond anything the Council had imagined. They were not just a returning species. They were a galactic power that had been hiding in plain sight. Fleet Admiral Kim Yuna, promoted after her successful first contact mission, stepped up to speak about the military implications. "Our fleets patrol trade routes that span the entire galaxy," she announced. "Piracy has been eliminated. Aggressive expansion has been stopped. For the first time in recorded history, ships can travel safely from one edge of known space to the other." It was true. The changes had been dramatic and swift. Pirate bases that had operated for centuries were now empty ruins. Trade routes that had been dangerous were now so safe that civilian ships traveled without escorts. The hegemony and other aggressive powers had withdrawn to their home systems and stayed there, but the military success was only part of the story. Dr. Yoon So-hee activated another part of the display, showing the civilian achievements. "We have shared our medical technology freely," she said. "Diseases that killed millions are now curable with simple treatments. Injuries that were permanent can now be healed. On 17 worlds, we have eliminated hunger completely. The proof was all around them. Elder Nara's people, the crystal beings, had been slowly dying from a mineral deficiency that their worlds could not provide. Human terraforming technology had fixed the problem in weeks. The gas-based Nilari had been trapped on a few worlds because their ships could not safely carry their gaseous forms over long distances. Human ships now carried them anywhere they wanted to go. And this is only the beginning, Director Nam said. Today, we announced the opening of the Deep Space Transit Network. The display changed again, showing something that took the aliens' breath away. Lines of light connected every major star system in the galaxy. Not the slow hyperspace routes they were used to, but something far more advanced. Instant travel between any 2 points in the galaxy, Fleet Admiral Kim explained. A journey that once took months will now take minutes. Captain Bae Suman, now serving as Director of Communications, stepped forward to demonstrate. She activated a control panel, and a portal opened in the air above the assembly. Through it, the delegates could see another world, a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green continents. "This is Earth," Captain Bae announced, "the human homeworld. For the first time in over 1,000 years, we invite the galaxy to visit." The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Earth had been a myth within a myth, the legendary home of the legendary humans. Now it was real, and they could see it with their own eyes. A delegation of aliens stepped through the portal, led by Ambassador Li Jiwan. They found themselves standing on a platform that overlooked vast cities and pristine wilderness. The sky was blue and filled with strange white clouds. In the distance, they could see more portals connecting Earth to other worlds. "Welcome to humanity's first world," said a human guide. "And now, welcome to the galactic community that we will build together." Back on the station, Director Nam was explaining the next phase of development. "Over the coming years, we will connect every inhabited world to the transit network," he said. "We will share all our technologies freely. We will help every species reach their full potential." But not everyone was completely happy with the changes. Former Commander Kang Daeho stood up to speak. "What about our independence?" he asked. "What about our right to govern ourselves?" Director Nam turned to face him directly. "You will govern yourselves, Kang Daeho. We have no desire to rule over anyone. We offer guidance, technology, and protection. But each world, each species, will make their own choices about how to live. And if we make choices you do not like, then you will face the consequences of those choices," Director Nam replied calmly. "We will not permit aggression against innocent worlds. We will not allow the strong to prey upon the weak. But beyond that, you are free to live as you choose." It was a balance that had taken months to work out. Human technology and human ships enforced basic standards of behavior. No slavery, no genocide, no unprovoked attacks on other worlds. But within those limits, each species was free to develop their own culture and government. Dr. Yoon So-hee activated the final part of the presentation. The display showed the edge of the galaxy, where sensors had detected something approaching. From the dark space between galaxies. "This is why we returned," she said seriously. "In approximately 50 years, other beings will arrive from outside our galaxy. They are not like us. They do not seek cooperation or trade. They consume everything they encounter." The alien delegates looked at the approaching threat with new understanding. Humanity had not returned to conquer them. Humanity had returned to save them. "Together we will be ready for them," Fleet Admiral Kim declared. "United, we will protect this galaxy and everything in it." The ceremony ended with a moment that would be remembered for generations. Representatives from every species in the galaxy stepped forward together and spoke a simple oath. "We stand united. We stand strong. We stand ready." As the delegates filed out of the chamber, many using the new portals to return instantly to their homeworlds, Ambassador Li Jiwan remained behind. She stood looking at the display of Earth, thinking about how much had changed. Director Nam approached her. "What are you thinking, Ambassador?" "I am thinking about the old stories," she replied. "The myths about humans who could work miracles and move between the stars like gods. And? They were not myths at all," she said. "They were prophecies." On Earth, the first alien tourists were exploring human cities and marveling at technologies that seemed like magic. Children from a dozen different species played together in parks where artificial gravity let them run up walls and float through the air. In space, human and alien ships worked side by side, building new stations and exploring new worlds. The old boundaries between species were disappearing as everyone worked toward common goals. And in the deep laboratories hidden in the outer system, human scientists were preparing for the war that would come in 50 years. When the destroyers arrived from outside the galaxy, they would find not scattered primitive worlds to consume, but a unified civilization with technology beyond their understanding. The myths had become reality.